Now, in this video, I'm going to show people something very, very interesting. The the oral history of Polynesia. Just to show you how today the teachings or the findings of what people are now putting together, modern science, whatever you call it, the modern history, comparing it to the history of the Polynesian people. Now, I want you guys to have a very, very good look at this, what I'm showing you right now, and have a good look. Right over here is what you call the unknown population gene flow of Mesoamerica, right here. Now, I'm just pointing this right over here to you because, as I did in the other video, I pinpointed right over here the ancestors of the Polynesian people came from the California area. I did that in the other video. And I am showing you also, due to look at how this is based on the structure of a jaw. From Siberia, Aleut. This is the tribe of the Aleut people who were kicked out. This is how I'm putting everything together. They moved out, kicked out from the Inuit people, and they moved down to the west coast. At the same time, there was another tribe from the Mesoamerica area, from right over here, eastern USA and Canada. This tribe came, the origins of the Polynesian people came down right over here, and this other native Indian tribe that came from the Americas came up from over here. And as you see right here, there was an admixture of two native Indian races that created the origins of the Polynesian people. Okay? And to prove all this, I'm going to show you a video that's going to back up what I'm trying to say. And it's this video right over here. It's called The Hidden Antarctic History of Polynesians. This is from the Polynesian point of view. And yeah, we'll watch this video. It's going to be 12 minutes long, but it's going to prove to you guys evidence from the Polynesian oral history.
Harsh climate is the most difficult place on Earth to perform archaeological
of
research.
what I'm pointing out.
Research bases and expeditions have only uncovered a tiny percentage of the continent. If there are artifacts or ruins to be found, they're covered in thick layers of snow and permafrost, waiting for us to discover them. The closest people to Antarctica in the ancient world would have been the natives living in
Did you hear that?
Australia, New Zealand, and the islands around the Pacific like the Cook Islands.
And when you look at it, it backs up not just only the genetic makeup, but what this map over here is showing, what this video is trying to say.
Islands and the Tonga Islands. When we look at the oral histories in these areas, we find stories of ocean travelers making it to cold waters, where they saw huge land
Did you hear that?
masses and mountains covered in snow and icebergs in the water. But could it really be possible for a civilization who didn't even possess the use of metallurgy to successfully make a 4,000-mile journey across open water to reach a continent with little to no resources?
No, see, this is what I'm trying to say. They didn't make it to Antarctica. No, that's not. If you think about oral history, right, they're talking about, they're talking about the history of it. Where would it be more likely? Antarctica? Or would it be more likely Alaska? Right over here. would it be possible that when Polynesians are passing on this oral history of where Polynesia came from, that what the Polynesians are actually saying is that when they travel out of Siberia into this area over here, right, into Alaska, that the ancestors of the Polynesian people came up with a place that was icy and snowy, like the first time they've seen it, right?
This oral history of the Maori journey to Antarctica was recorded in 1904 by New Zealand ethnologist and surveyor Stevenson Percy Smith in his book Hawaii, the original home of the Maori. He writes,
It's a good book, I might read it.
Your day doesn't have to stop when your car is due for
of the other islands of the Pacific which were first settled at this time, we have so little information as to their histories that nothing can be stated with certainty, and that the Marquesas received accessions to the population, if they were not for the first time then occupied, which I think is probable. We have seen from a former page that at 40 generations ago, at which the voyagers could rest and replenish their stores. But I now come to one made by this daring navigator, Uite Rangora, in his celebrated canoe, which outshines all others, and shows him to have been a man worthy of taking his place amongst many of our own fearless navigators, of ages long subsequent to the 7th century. In the history of Te Aru Tonga Nuku, who in this time was also a great voyager, we find the following. The desire of Te Aru Tonga Nuku and all his people on the completion of the canoe was to behold all the wonderful things seen by those of the vessel in former times. These were those wonderful things, the rocks that grow out of the sea, in the space, beyond Rapa. In this context, the word space is defined the same way we would define it today. The monster seas, the female that dwells in those mountainous waves, whose tresses wave about in the waters and on the surface of the sea. They are completely bare. The deceitful animal that dives so deep in the icebergs
Look
of the
how
Atlantic.
interesting this is.
The tresses that
Look,
are sea elephant,
you
which
guys
waves
can
with
watch the video yourself, right? But how is it, right, that the earlier European Polynesians back in those days were able to find
the
out
long leaves
animals
of
like
the bull
this,
kelp, over 50 feet
right?
long. Quite a new feature to the people who dwelt in the tropics, where
How
there
would
is
they know?
nothing of the
How would they
kind.
know all this, right?
The deceitful animal that dives
Yeah.
so deep is the walrus, or sea lion, or sea elephant. The frozen ocean is expressed by the term for arrowroot, which when scraped is exactly like snow.
Look, my video is gonna run out real quick. But how is it that a lot of the oral history, and you guys can go watch it yourself, the video yourself, right? But how is it that the oral history of the people, of the Maori people, right, which lives all the way down over here, are able to find out about this icy area? How the heck are they able to find it out? People might say maybe they reached Alaska. Nah, I don't think so. I think the oral history of the Polynesian people is actually talking about Alaska.